Evaluating students with communication disorders. Determining the presence of communication disorders by assessment. Speech assessments determine the presence of articulation, voice, or fluency problems. They are done by a speech-language pathologist, or SLP for short. Articulation assessments evaluate a student's abilities to produce speech in single words, sentences, and conversation. It typically includes an oral motor exam of the appearance, strength, and range of motion of the lips, tongue, palate, teeth, and jaw. Voice evaluations focus on environmental factors and typical use. Fluency assessments measure the amount of disfluency and the type and duration of disfluencies along with non-speech factors. Language assessments focus on specific components of language, such as phonology, semantics, morphology, syntax, and pragmatics, as we discussed previously. Multicultural considerations require that the SLP be particularly skilled when assessing a bilingual or bidialectal student to avoid language bias. Designing an appropriate IEP. Partnering for special education and related services. Because communication takes place throughout the student's school day, it is helpful to involve various school personnel in coordinated communication strategies with the child. However, the most important participants are the general education teacher and the SLP. The ASLHA has identified 4 types of activities or activity clusters that SLPs use in schools. 1. Direct services to students. 2. Indirect services to implement students' IEPs. 3. Indirect services to support students in the general curriculum. And 4. Activities as members of the community of educators. Each of these clusters require a high level of collaboration with teachers and families. Traditionally, direct services between the SLP and the student have been favored, but the modern trend is away from such student classroom withdrawal and toward more consultation and collaboration between the teacher and the SLP on classroom-based direct services, such as supportive teaching and complementary teaching, with the SLP and teacher working in tandem. The extent to which these services will be utilized can be addressed in the well-constructed IEP. Determining supplementary aids and services. Assistive technology, or AT, includes any piece of equipment, whether commercial or handmade, that assists an individual in performing classroom functions such as communication. One such form of AT is the Augmentative and Alternative Communication System, or AAC. AAC devices include communication books, communication or language boards, communication charts, mechanical or electronic voice output equipment, and computers. Choosing the right AT for the student should be a collaborative effort involving various members of the IEP team. Planning for Universal Design for Learning. Universal Design for Learning, or UDL for short, should include modifications to how classroom content is presented, as well as expanding the options for student expression. The format for teaching can utilize both audio and text formats, visual representations with verbal information, graphic organizers, and controlled vocabulary. Students can be given the option of demonstrating knowledge via written reports, PowerPoint presentations, taped oral reports, or even dramatic presentations. Planning for other educational needs. Students with communication disorders may need help building social relationships because they are at risk for social isolation and stigmatization. It is the responsibility of educational professionals to facilitate these relationships as part of the student's schooling. It's time for a quiz.